All right, let me know when we're online. Crap. I'd like to call to order the Columbia Borough Council Workshop. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Singh,
Here.
Councilperson Kaufman,
Here.
Councilperson Stahl,
Here.
Councilperson Fisher,
Here.
Councilperson Easy,
Here.
Councilperson Murphy,
Here.
Councilperson Guard,
Here.
Mayor Lutz.
Here.
Would anybody like to offer an invocation? If you'd like, please rise for a moment of silence. Mayor Lutz, would you like to lead us in a pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcement of executive session, there was none. Are there any additions, deletions, or reorganization of the agenda that's needed? Not aware of anything. All right, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as published?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the agenda as published. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Citizen comment non-agenda items only. The first sign-up I have is Frank Doucher.
Made it tonight.
Good evening, folks. I'll start out with you, I guess, Heather. And council. To me, the meeting last week, council finally come out of their shell. Peter, a lot of you, it's just, but in the end, Heather won out. Heather got the budget together. She still stuck by her gun, and there for a minute I didn't think it was going to pass, but she did get it passed. I said it before, I don't know your background, Heather, but ain't you kind of missing the boat?
What do you mean?
$72,000 you might be passing up. Resign from council, and I know there's other issues that they do, that the finance manager does, but $72,000 is a lot of money. And I seen other issues come before council, and they put people in. It wasn't always them big words,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I had to.
Frank, are you trying to say she did a good job?
Well, she did a good job. Is the end result good though? But she did a job at what it wasn't her regular job to do.
I did what needed to be done. This
Yeah.
borough has to function. It had to happen. We got it.
Yeah, you got it true. If the end result was good or not, some people you ask yes, some people say no, whatever. Finance ain't my expertise. I had trouble following these people, but I enjoyed the commentary, what come out of it. But the end result, I think you won out. I guess the other thing that really amazed me, the mayor started us off. He's the one that brought it up. No, we don't. In a way, we don't need the 2 mills. And I thought it was so unusual because all the years I come to the meetings, I would never hear much out of Leo, or the mayor, I'll call him Leo, and then he says he's not going to sign it. I learned something there. I wasn't sure what all that meant. But I just, for the life of me, I sit there, I thought, and he had numbers together. It really surprised me. And I said to myself, this this doesn't make sense. And then a light bulb went off. Leo's running for re-election, so apparently he's running for re-election, so this was a feather in his cap to maybe get this out there that he's not pushing. And you can comment if you'd like to, Leo.
That's not what it was about, Frank. I still hold my guns that one would have done it and had less impact on the residents.
You know, just of all the times I come to the meetings, I never heard you vocal like that, so whatever, you know, I just had to get that off my chest.
But let me say, 2 will put the borough in a better position, there's no doubt about it. But I was looking out for the 10,000 people that live here and pay taxes.
Well, I hope that's what you all do. I hope that's what your goal is. And like I said, the budget wasn't my expertise. So really, we're putting 2 mills on, and where are we getting the rest of the money to balance the budget?
Reserves.
I thought that, but I wasn't sure. Going back, and I know you don't like to go back, but we almost have to. Somebody's got to do it. I would hope maybe the finance manager and the borough manager would get their heads together and go back and start around 2014 and around there when the municipal authority sold the conveyance system, and then they turned the money over was left to the borough that was used in the administration, which amounted to 20.6 million. Now, a lot of you probably don't know nothing about that, but the municipal authority,
8 million.
well, they paid off a bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was 8 million left that went to the borough in cash. Now, where that went, I don't know. It might be interesting to find out where that, no, you're right, Leo, it was 8 point something. But anyway, it might be interesting to find out where this money went to. And the money that the land was sold for down at the farm, did that go in the general fund?
No,
Where'd that go?
capital,
Capital fund. Okay.
because it was a capital, it was capital asset. Yeah, thank you, I was having a hard time finding that word. It's
Yeah.
capital asset, so the money has to go to capital.
Yeah. So do we really know our debt right now? Do we know what our debt is? We're going to balance the budget, but
Without looking at the bond paperwork off the top of my head, no, I do. I get a lot of numbers in there, but that's one of them that I do not know off the top of my head.
Are you talking total debt?
yes. If we was,
Just in the bond. I mean, it's just the bond. But I don't know what that principal balance is right now.
well, which bond are you talking about? You're talking about
The one we just refied.
the one that we're paying 691,000
Yep.
for how many years? We're going to be paying that?
All right.
Not 30.
Yeah, I think it's 30.
Aye, aye, aye. Wow. Well, I would like somebody to go back and find out how we was, you know, we sold all that stuff, the municipal authority sold all that off, and now we're in debt so much money. And the reason I'm asked, we have four what I call major things that we have to look out for because we don't want this to happen again. How did this happen? That's the point I'm trying to bring up. We got the sewer plant still in limbo, KT Graham, Bridge Avenue, and now the crossing building, we gotta add that to it. So we have to watch that these don't get sidetracked somehow and get in the situation that we got back then. So I guess I'm correct, this is where the finance manager is going to be helping us. Okay. I had asked at the last meeting how many applicants we had for for the finance manager, and I was told they were going to do 3 interviews, but I never did find out how many applicants we had. I guess they go to the borough manager, am I correct? Who gets-
Actually, they went, I saw those. There were about, we did it twice. I think total applications were probably around 15. And then we interviewed, the first time we hired a finance manager, we interviewed 3 of them. And then the second time we arranged for interviews for 3, but 1 was a no-show. And we actually interviewed 2 and hired 1 of them.
Okay. All right. And also, I'd asked Heather about why you would vote for this deal with the loan or the lease that we have with KG Graham, and you said you were not a part of that. Well, most of you wasn't, but Kelly was on council back when this happened, that he had voted on that. Just to clear that up. I guess one of the things, if you're going to have an ad hoc committee, you're going to try to get to the bottom of some of these fees. I still think this leasing of vehicles, I think somebody is making a bunch of money, and I think the borough is losing a bunch of money. It'd probably be a job for Peter, but Peter's involved with the highway and things like that. But I still think that needs to be looked at and try and show me what we're saving by letting the leasing companies do everything. Myself, from thinking about it, it's more of a convenience for council. Well, we don't have to fool with that. Let them take care of all this, but what is it costing us in the long run? If somebody can explain that to me, I'd be willing to listen. Okay, thanks for listening to me.
Thank you.
The next sign up is Sharon Lintner.
Hello, Sharon Lintner, 500 Chestnut Street. So to elaborate a little bit about what Frank said, I'm just, over the last 9 to 10 years, then the borough had at its disposal millions of dollars above and beyond what we collect for property taxes, beginning with in 2015 the sale was finalized, but the LASA sale brought in 8 million, almost 9 I guess, in cash to the borough. In addition, LASA paid off some debt. And then that was followed by the municipal authority disbanding and dissolving. I believe $2 million came to the borough through that. So then we were up to around whatever that comes to, 10, 12. And then a few months after that municipal authority disbanded and the borough received a couple million, we turned around and signed up for the bonds, which is what I believe you're referring to that we're still paying for. I'm wondering why we needed to do that. I was actually a correspondent for LMP at the time, and I interviewed Borough Manager Sod and Councilman Murphy at the time, and they said it was going to go to capital projects.
Yes.
So can you tell me what capital projects that entailed? Because at the time of the interview, you weren't sure what projects were going to be done.
Well, for the bond, I mean, that's all, when you get the bond, you have to specify the project. So it was all spelled out in the bond paperwork. A lot of it, I mean, big portions of it were the reconstruction of Walnut Street. Trying to think what else. Kelly, do you remember? It was all, there were a lot
Everything
of,
had to be defined.
yeah, I mean, it has to be defined.
Okay. at the
And
time.
it's not like you can just,
Initially, one of them was McGinnis, but then we never did, the council was in.
Right,
at that time.
right, that fell through, yeah, okay.
I think some of it, the market house was,
Market house.
the market, some of it went to the market house.
Parking garage, and parking situation.
Yeah, because that, all the rack piece stuff is in the bond.
Okay, because the 9.8, that was the bonds, I believe, it was around 9 million. And then that was in addition to all the other money. So in other words, my point is, the borough had all these millions at their disposal over the course of the last 10 years. And at one point, Mike Reiner, when he did the audit, told us that the capital fund was actually in a deficit of over $500,000. And I'm wondering, you know, in addition to all the money we were able to bring in, we still are raising taxes 2 times in that time frame. So it just seems to me, I don't want to say it's mismanaged, I'm not trying to imply anything, any kind of wrongdoing, I'm just saying, how in the world did we get to this point when we had all this money at our disposal in the last 9 years, essentially, and we raised taxes 2 times, counting this current raise that you're seeking? Just seems like something isn't right. So, anyway, thank you.
The only thing I would beg to differ on is the raising taxes twice, as I explained many times already over the years. The first time that we lowered it from 8, in 2008, the millage rate is 8.0 in Columbia. In 2024, the millage rate in Columbia is still 8.0. We had to drop it from 8.0 down to what was 6.8 based upon the reassessments that the county did. The problem is 25%, roughly 25% of all the homeowners, of the property owners in Columbia challenged their reassessments and
Yes.
won.
Yes,
And that-
I did
That
too.
cost the borough over $1 million
Well,
in tax revenue. That had to come back, and that's why we took it back up to 8.0 the following year, to make up for that loss.
but the homeowners who did not win actually were paying
Which
more.
would be, I was one of them.
And that's
I
what's
never
going-
challenged mine, I understand what you're saying.
Well, I challenged it, and I will again if I'm still here when the next reassessment comes, but, okay, thank you.
Heather, if I may.
Yep, well, you're up on the agenda, so.
Okay. Before I get into my portion, let me respond to a couple of things. There was a time, and Kelly may remember this, and I don't want to say any council did anything wrong. They did what they felt was right at the time, and I'll live with it, and I don't have a problem with that. But when there was a time when the wastewater treatment plant was sold and some other things were done that the borough was told by the auditor that we were, and I think you alluded to it a little bit, Sharon, that we were out of balance, we were almost in a deficit in the capital fund, and we were heavy in the general fund. Council took money from the general fund and put it into the capital fund to build up the capital fund. Now, as we explained last week, once money goes into the capital fund, it can't go back into the general fund. So that was like a uh-oh, okay? But that's what council was advised by the auditors, that they had to do something with all that money sitting in the general fund and the capital fund not having barely anything in it. So that took away some of that money. When the borough took control of the Columbia No. 1 Fire Company, and this has been disputed back and forth, but that building, the borough had to put a lot of money in it. I don't know what the figure was, but I know it was considerable monies in it in order to lease it or rent it. There was a lot of water damage because of the roof and some other things. So I know there was considerable dollars put into that. So there was a loss of money out of that deal. One of the other things that happened, and let me start off saying, I don't think we should ever sold the wastewater treatment plant. We were in compliance. But that was the decision made by those people who made the votes. And I have to live with it, and so be it. But when that happened, people had to realize that half the borough manager's salary was paid by the municipal authority. Half the finance manager's salary was paid by the municipal authority. Half the public works director's salary was paid by the municipal authority and the employees that worked there. And no one was laid off. And when that plant was sold, all those monies that the borough was getting back now lost.
Correct.
And the borough had to make that money up.
Was
And
it
that
$1 million in revenue?
Right.
A year.
About $1 million a year of revenue. And the decision was, we don't want to lay off any of our employees, let it attrit down. I can't dispute that, but that took money. That cost money. And if you look at the budget and you look at finances, as Frank said, 2014, if you look at it from that point to today, you'll see a down spiral because of that, because we didn't have that revenue that we were living off of for quite a few years when we had the wastewater treatment plant and the municipal authority. So now that money has been used up, and now we're at the point where something has to be done. That's where a lot of that money went to. There was no frivolous spending or anything else. And then added to it, Jake, you may know the number off the top of your head. You told me one time. How many streets have we done? Was it 50-some streets?
It's over 100 blocks.
Over 100 blocks of
Since
streets.
2009.
The bond was taken out for $10 million because there were a lot of complaints about the condition of the streets. And over 100 blocks of the streets were resurfaced. That takes money. So that's where a lot of that money went to.
Plus over $1 million just for us to purchase the number one building back
That was $1 million.
in order to make the consolidation of the fire companies go through. Because without it, they wouldn't have done it.
Yep.
Very interesting.
The firehouse down there on Front Street cost over $1 million.
They had over $1 million in debt that they had still owed on it at the time.
Wow.
I think it was like 1.1.
Well, and I will say,
Plan was to sell it by now, but
the previous borough manager and previous finance manager were looking into that because they were trying to account for all of the money. And the records were spotty. There were things that they were not able to, like, they had the general idea, but, you know, it wasn't all there. But again, it wasn't, you want to say frivolous, that's a judgment call. What you think is frivolous isn't the same thing as what I think is frivolous. So, you know, there's that, but none of it was, I'm sorry?
Nefarious.
Right, nothing, it wasn't that they weren't able to account for things. It was like, okay, we know okay, so they bought this trolley, they bought this, they bought, you know, these things, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so was that frivolous? Who knows, you know?
Most things done were to advance economic
Well,
development in
exactly.
this community, and I think it showed that there may have been some hiccups, but
Yeah.
economic development in Columbia Borough is considerably better than it was, let's say, 10 years ago.
I mean, every person that sits at this table or has sat at this table has always strived to make the best decision that they could with the information they had at the time. And that's what it's all about. Sometimes you look back and you realize it was the wrong call. You know, but everyone that sits here tries to make the best decision that we can with the information we have at the time. And that's all we can do.
Question for
Yep.
for Leo.
Yes, Frank?
Can you remember back, Leo, was the fire company out of the building for a while?
Yes.
And it
Yes.
deteriorated? Is this why we had to put a lot of money in there?
Yes.
Wow.
The roof leaked and I think some pipes broke, if I can remember. Wilson, were you here then?
The HVAC units had to be replaced,
Yep.
2 on the roof, 1 in the back. The elevator had to be worked on.
Yeah, that was
There
lovely.
was a tremendous amount of money spent just bringing it up to where it needed to be.
Can you,
If I remember thinking back, it was several $100,000.
It was several $100,000.
Yeah,
and how much did we sell it for?
we didn't sell it yet.
Yeah.
And the same way was the sewer plant. I'm glad you said that, because what's the status of both of them? Neither one is sold. Can we sell them to somebody else?
The sewer plant is in process. It's being held up right now by Norfolk Southern. JG Environmental wants to purchase it. We're under agreement with the Columbia EDC to sell it to them, and they're going to turn around and sell it to JG Environmental. But we can't make that domino happen until Norfolk Southern agrees to the at-grade crossing to get to the sewer plant. We have to have that formal signed agreement.
I guess what I'm getting at, was there a set price set that they can go back to, to buy the sewer plant? Was there something promised to them or on paper, here's the figure that you can buy it at, regardless how far down the road?
I don't know what that figure is with the CEDC, because they're not buying the sewer plant from us. JG Environmental is buying it from the CEDC. We're selling it to the CEDC for a set amount.
Well, that's interesting.
It won't be a giveaway.
No, it's not a giveaway.
I can't give you the number.
It is not. I
It's
can't
not a
remember. It's not a give. No, it's fair market value. But Leo, we're up to you. This has been very.
So that's what happens when you've been around 23 years. Let me just say one more thing. When I came on board, the capital budget for that year was $35,000. That wouldn't even resurface one block. And you can see what has happened capital-wise in the past 23 years. A lot has happened. And it takes money to do it. And I think everybody did what they could with the money that they had, and I don't think there was any, as someone said, frivolous spending.
Right.
Or I've been screaming. Okay. Weather's been cold. Talked to the officers today, and I asked them what they're seeing on their rounds. They've been looking for encampments. So far, they haven't seen any that they had to bust up. They said it's been relatively quiet on the streets. They haven't seen people, in doorways or behind bushes and things like that. So they're finding shelter somewhere. As the one officer said, we don't know where, but they're not out where we have seen them. But we're going to maintain that, looking for them. Weather's supposed to ease up a little bit next week, but they're aware of it. They're watching. We surely don't want to find anybody dying from exposure because they couldn't get help. And along with that, if anybody sees someone or knows somebody that's having a problem, have them get a hold of the police department or here at the borough, and we'll try to find assistance for them. We don't want anybody, as I said, to wind up dying or starving or anything because of this cold weather or whatever thing they may have has been befallen them, especially now during the holidays. The other thing is, along with that, if you look back over the holiday season, we have had some fires. And people need to be reminded that make sure they have smoke detectors that are working, CO monitors possibly that are working, and that they are very cautious with the holiday lights and the holiday, plugging Christmas trees in, things like that they don't go and overload circuits. The same thing goes for, it gets cold, don't run kerosene heaters in your house. And if you're going to run the electric heaters, make sure you don't have anything near them that they may catch on fire. Sorry to say, we've had some instances in the past, and I hope we don't have any instances this year. We had one there, what was it, 2 years ago or 3 years ago on Christmas Eve, and that was a terrible tragedy. So I want to remind people to be cautious of that. The other thing, you hear a lot about porch pirates, and this time, especially this time of year, people getting things from a mail order house and have them delivered to their house, and they may be working or whatever have you, and people wind up picking up the packages off their steps or off their porches. If anybody has that concern, if they just have it delivered to Columbia Borough Police Department, we will hold it for them, and we will see that they get their package and it's secured. So with that, hopefully we get through this holiday season the best we can. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there was a chimney fire just a little bit earlier today already. All right. The workshop items. The first item we have is the 2025 meeting schedule. You have that in your packet. Are there any concerns on that? I was looking through just to make everyone, just to remind everyone, the August workshop always gets moved because the first Tuesday in August is National Night Out. So we go to Thursday that week. Likewise, November, the first Tuesday in November is the election day. So we always push that workshop to Thursday. And I was looking, the primary for next year is May 20th. I think it's May 20th. So let me just double check that. Which would be, yeah. Yes, it's May 20th. So that is going to that date is going to have to change. I thought I remembered that. Do we know yet if the Planning Commission is going to continue doing workshops? They are? Right. Because I was going to say, if they're unsure, I would rather include that in the public,
Which I have.
the legal ad. And we are not putting the zoning hearing board on there, correct?
Correct.
Because we advertise those as we need to.
Can we remove December's zoning hearing board from the calendar completely?
I wouldn't, I would show it on there, but I mean, if it gets to that point, I would think that we would want to work with them to pick an alternate night. Likewise, November. That always got me, how November always falls the night before Thanksgiving. else did I? Oh, can we remove the July 17th budget meeting? Yes, Sharon?
I just wondered why you would do that when last time Peter suggested that you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
When the last time Peter had suggested that you do more with budgeting throughout the year and try to hold work sessions, et cetera, why would you then cancel budget meeting? If you were truly going to work on,
But if we're going to work on things at the workshops, do we need the workshop and then a special budget meeting? Because usually those budget meetings are just to, I think the one in July was meant to be like a mid-year review of the current budget or something like that. And we haven't been doing that for a couple of years now. That's been a holdout before, because I believe the way the previous finance manager did it is he would adjust the budget throughout the year, and they would use like that budget meeting to go through what budget adjustments were being made. And we no longer do that.
is that because they had a finance committee then, or?
No, that was just the way he did it. And you shouldn't change your budget mid-year. You shouldn't be changing line items mid-year because once you get to the end of the year, how do you know how you did budgeting if you've changed things throughout the year? Like,
Okay, I don't know, I'm just asking because it sounded like last week you wanted to dig into this and really.
do we want to keep a special budget meeting in July?
I don't know. I think that's got the carryover from way back years
Exactly.
ago, we used to get budget change requests and then.
Right, that's what I'm saying, Kelly.
So my thought would be to keep that. It gives us a midway point, or at least a point to start the next budget going forward for 2026. I'm a little afraid that if we get too further past that point, we're going to start using our work sessions for other things that are tabled and not necessarily the budget. I mean, the work sessions aren't designated as budget items or budget talks. I don't think it would be a problem to keep that at least advertised.
Okay.
Even if it's a short, hey, this is where we're at, everything is going well or not, or, but if we also see problems that are happening, it gives us time to talk about changing our work sessions into being just budget going forward. At least I don't think it's going to hurt to at least have a starting point to where we need to start looking at 2026.
That's fine.
And I just told the new finance manager that we start looking at our budget in July.
All right. Any other questions, comments on the meeting schedule?
May 20th.
Heather, I'm going to assume all the times remain as is for meetings.
I believe so, yes. So let me know, or let Steve know which meeting you want to approve the advertisement. All right, 2025 fee schedule. So, Steve, you want to lead us through this?
Yes, I asked everybody to look over their fee schedule here, give us some ideas of what their changes are, what they're looking at. I don't have a report from the chief, which I believe he's funny. So I know he did have a few things he was talking about.
about increasing. I just haven't gotten that back from him yet. So I can jump back into Public Works.
Jake, you had a few things on yours. Unfortunately, I don't have the paperwork you gave me. Can you give the update on that?
The one is to raise the incoming yard waste fees from $35 to $40 a ton.
Wait, can we just go down through instead
Go
of,
into each individual one.
instead of jumping around on the fee schedule? So we have, the first section is police department fees. You said we don't know the changes there. Code compliance fees.
Well, can I ask a question, maybe Mayor can answer this? What's a non-criminal fingerprinting?
Excuse me.
Non-criminal fingerprinting.
Okay, the police department does fingerprints for, like if you're gonna work at school or something like that there. They have to pass a background check and fingerprints and things like that there.
Yeah, like they did my fingerprints for my employer. They sent me a card, I brought it down, and they did my fingerprints for me.
And the vehicle storage is impounded vehicles?
Yes.
I think I should be higher than $20 a day.
I was thinking that too.
You can do that. Normally, we don't impound many vehicles in a year's time. Usually they go to the salvage yard or the tower and they impound them. Now, if it's a crime, if it's part of the crime scene, we don't impound it. That could change though. I don't know if it'll change this year or not, but one of the problems we had was having room down at the Public Works Department to impound vehicles. With the new property, we may be able to do more of that, to collect more, because the vehicles that are impounded by someone else we're not getting paid. And I think they're charging, if I'm not mistaken, it's up around $100 a day for an impounded vehicle.
I would agree to raise that. I mean, we did some work to a building down there at the Public Works in order to secure it better for impounding crime scene evidence. And so that's already cost into that.
Don't mark my words at the 100, but I heard that number. I would defer that to the chief. How soon are you going to pass this resolution?
Well,
Or vote on this resolution?
the fee schedule is generally either the last meeting of the year or the first meeting in the new year.
So there's time.
There's
to
time,
get
yeah.
input. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say at least 50.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, but along with that, didn't we have to make those security upgrades to that building for the police, what do you call it?
Evidence.
No, the certification, or, you know what I'm talking about, Leo.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
Accreditation.
Accreditation, thank you.
Yeah, we have to do some-
Sorry, words are hard today. All right.
You don't use those words every day. So.
No, I no, and that's,
Mayor, do you know if there was any talk between you and Jack as far as the, I know we talked before about the false alarm fees? Because really, you have all the way up until the fourth false alarm before we really even do anything.
That's been a bone of contention with me for a long time. You know, I can tell you what properties we constantly get false alarms. I can't give you a number of anybody who is cited for any business or whatever was cited for it. I don't have those figures. I don't keep those figures. But that, you know, you got to keep in mind when that happens, the police are responding, fire companies responding, possibly ambulance is responding. That's a burden. That's a cost. And because someone doesn't want to properly maintain their equipment, the taxpayers in Columbia shouldn't be picking the bill up on it.
right.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I would have no problem with with doing something with that, and I'll talk to the chief and see if we can't, the problem is, we have to get the reports from, most times, from the fire company. So we need to have discussions with the fire company that they're going to turn those records in when they respond to them. And then we'll get those numbers and be able to track it. But yeah, when we're looking at picking up everything we can, that needs to be looked at. And I'll sit down with the chief when he gets back here next week and we'll get over that.
That's like you said, it's the amount of, the volume of people that have to, interrupt their lives to respond to something that turns out to be nothing.
Well, the only problem is you find them too much, they turn the alarms off.
Yeah. Well, that's why I
Not
think,
me.
I think it's very generous to go to four
Four
until
times a year is not that.
you're saying that's not enough.
No, I'm saying 4 times a year, 3 times before you get a fine. So 3 times is not. Trying to think of words. I don't want to say it's not a nuisance.
It's not excessive.
It's not excessive. No.
Well,
I mean, I know that back when Pizza Hut was still there, they would have things from their ceiling and the wind would set off their alarms. So.
I think the key there is something, I'll give you the word discretion. We use that in many things around here, anywhere. If there's 1 or 2 false alarms, and you get another one, and they say, we're working with the company, and they're trying to solve this problem.
Right.
To me, that deserves some discretion as to whether you cite them or not. But if there's no comment, oh, I just didn't get around to it, or whatever, well, then you get a little harder. So I think if you leave those alone and practice discretion, and we get some actual figures coming out of that, we can go from there. I hate to make much of a change without knowing what the impact really was.
I mean, are you aware of anybody got a fine for this?
That's what I'm saying. I don't get those numbers, so I can't tell.
Yeah, I'm not
And that
aware.
comes from the fire company, so I don't
The
know.
fire company can't find anybody, can they?
No, they report it. They
Right.
report the false alarm that they respond to. And like I said, the police go, but many times it's a fire call.
Right. I mean, honestly, I would rather just see nuisance alarms, just one line, nuisance alarms.
Now that has merit.
They say no fee, 150, 250. You're either a problem or you're not.
Why don't we, I have that noted here, why don't we have that discussion? I think we
Police and public work event fees. I don't like that.
Yeah, we're not down there yet.
Okay.
This pets, any dog detained by the borough, I would like to see that doubled, so that maybe it will deter people.
Are you down below me?
Huh?
Where are you?
Yeah, you're way down. Tell me we're jumping around.
We're not jumping around. I'm
Well,
at,
wait, before we go to that, is there any reason why we cannot raise the fees for the pawnbroker antique dealer?
Or you live down further than I am.
Oh, you know what? You
I thought we were at the alarms.
It's the public work event fees. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see that, Aaron. I saw little words and was like, oh, I'm
So,
okay.
I gotta be honest with you.
Sorry, my bad.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't like that only because one person maybe charge a different fee from the next person. There's no discretion. I would rather us come back and say, it costs a uniform officer, one officer, this much per hour. It costs a road crew member this much per hour.
Well, we do
And then-
have that.
Yeah, cost per hour.
We do have that.
Then why do you have this up here?
But I don't know why it was put in there like that. But we do have that spelled out in that special event application thing.
So it's on the application.
Yeah,
And the application should reference the fee schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't do them, so,
No,
but I'm
I'm
just saying, that's, yeah, no, I agree.
If they're the numbers you want to use, if those numbers are accurate, that's fine.
Mhm.
I can see where the chief is responsible to say, hey, for this event, you need 3 officers.
Mhm.
But anybody knowing just can take 3 times whatever our fee schedule is per officer.
Mhm.
So I think we should have those numbers on here.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I have a dumb question. It's probably a legal question or something for the chief, but we have all these fees here for police or whatever, and this is kind of on our budget too, in our police budget. Is there any, like, in terms of police work, how much of their time can be billed to, I mean, it's not worded correctly, forgive me, but like, when someone is charged with something, does the time that the police put into that case get
no,
passed along, or is there any restitution paid?
no,
And can there legally be anything like that?
no.
That's the shame of it. And just to go along with that, Pete, most citations written by the police department that go through the district justice, the state, we get the original fine cost, like it may be $35 fine. With court cost, it might be $150, we get $35, they get the rest. So when people say, you make a lot of money off of parking fines and this and that, no, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't. Because it goes to the district justice.
And not only that, it costs us extra money because when an officer isn't working and they have to go to court, they get paid overtime.
Yeah, citations are not money makers.
Yep.
Just quickly, I got a message from people who are watching that said that sound is currently very garbled and they're having difficulty hearing. So I just wanted to let you know before you go too much farther if that could be fixed or not. Thank you.
I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, I
The
don't
last
either.
borough council meeting sounded great.
Yeah,
There's nothing I can do while the meetings, and I can reset the equipment, but I can't do that while the meetings.
yeah, I mean, just make sure everyone's speaking into the microphone.
Heather, when you said an officer, if he's off at the time and has to go to court, is there certain hours that he gets, or how is that?
I'm not sure how that works, Frank.
Do you know how that works, Leo?
Yeah, the officer gets paid time and a half,
For the time involved?
yeah, court time.
It's not a set,
Plus traveling fee.
you know?
If he has to go down to, say, Lancaster courthouse or Philadelphia or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think I know this, but I would like to ask, just because it just seemed odd to me. Why is the cost for a parking violation at Columbia Crossings more than a parking meter violation? Or any of the other parking related fees? Why single out that one place?
Who did set the fee?
So we can change that then, right? To me, that just seems odd.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely.
All right, Steve, are you making note of the changes that were, okay.
Or even, I mean, it seems like parking within 20 feet of a crosswalk or a fire hydrant or at the end of front of a driveway, like, why are those less? It seems like our parking violation fees could all be the same. Maybe except for the handicap,
Okay.
could be higher. That could
Yeah.
be $50 or something.
Well, can we raise the antique dealer fee? I
Wait a
mean,
sec, where we at?
Wait, oh, wait.
Still parking violation.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, wait,
That's
where's
okay.
the,
I mean, it's a big, tourists come here for the antiques, and
oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute, I can't find it.
after bicycle registration.
Oh, okay.
It's on the first page.
Right, okay.
Second from the
I
last.
see it.
I spent,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, maybe there's a reason why we can't, but
what I'd like to know is what's the reissuing of fee?
If you have a guy selling balloons during one of the parades,
Right?
okay, and he went through all the checks, the background checks and everything else, he's okay, he pays his initial $25. The next parade he comes in, you just reissue it because he went through all that paperwork, it cost him $5.
Same as, business relocation fee.
Where are we at?
Page 2 top.
For removal, what's that?
Yeah, and I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
This seems redundant. $5, $5.
Decision appeal fee. What's that? Like,
Said if you don't get your license?
I don't know, like, you don't get your license and you want to
That's
appeal
the
it.
appeal, that's the appeal for a quick ticket?
No, it's $20.
No.
It's under
Oh, I thought that was it.
This is under pawnbroker.
antique dealer, second-hand dealer.
Yeah,
I'll go over that with the chief.
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, we need to, yeah, that's kind of weird.
That's more of a
So, back to Barb's. Did you say you wanted to raise it $25 a year or?
I was thinking if it's $25 a year now, to raise it to $50, and then raise the $5 to $10 for the reissuance fee.
Well, and Leo, if this is under pawnbroker, antique dealer, secondhand dealer, that wouldn't be the guy from the selling balloons at the parade. So that's kind of weird.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I think this would be like our antiques stores that we have. All the dealers in this.
But I don't see.
The first fee, like for the first time you
Peddler's fee.
register, and then every year after it's $5.
That's the way it was. That's what I was. That's why I know.
Now, the top one says per year.
The one you're talking about, for the balloon guys, that's like peddler's fees. I am looking for it, but.
Well, what's a second-hand
Yeah, well,
dealer?
we always consider those people, I might use a bad example, but they're peddlers.
Is a second-hand dealer like the reuse it shop?
Maybe that title needs changed to be a little bit more
Clear.
accurate.
I think the chief and I will go through each one of these.
Yeah.
See, I don't see that
I'm throwing a mark for clarification, see ones that we're bringing up now, but I still think we'll go through each one of them,
So,
so.
what you see, I don't see the one for, you guys, balloon raise, yeah.
All right. Barb, we good there?
Yeah.
All right, now we're at pets. I would say double that to try and deter people from, and then,
Well, so here's my problem with that. While I agree and the concept's right, the reality of it is, if it gets too expensive, it just won't clean it up.
That's happening right now.
that's happening now.
Right, so you're finding, somebody who lets their dog out by accident, you're fining $50. And that I don't disagree with. But if you raise it to 100, then the person who accidentally let the dog out will jump the fence.
I know, right?
It's only $50, but if you raise it to 100, a person who's willing to pay for it and claim their dog back, sooner or later they're gonna say, I'm not claiming it.
I find it.
Right. So I think that should stay at 50.
Okay.